Hello, my name is Alex Pennington, and we are the Aspiring Writers United. Today, I am joined with Yvette Blake. Thank you so much for coming on the
Thanks.
show.
Thank you for having me, Alex. It's nice to be here.
I'm still just amazed by your book covers. Like, those are really good covers.
Yeah, I think they did an amazing job. Eric G. Reed has a publishing company called Skinny Brown Dog Media, and his cover designers came up with this based on what I was explaining to them that I wanted.
That's
And
so
they did a
awesome.
really, really good job. Yeah.
So, how?
This, I'm sorry, this actually was my daughter's friend, and I wanted
Oh,
someone to
wow.
dress up like Cassie. And so my daughter is a photographer, and my other daughter's friend, Shayna, she modeled for us. So that worked into the cover perfectly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that looks great. And it
Yeah,
totally like
I'm
has the
excited.
vibe to it, kind of the Western, and that's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
So maybe
Turned out
tell us a
great.
little bit about your story. Where did it all begin for you?
About 4 years ago or so, I wrote a little short story, and a friend read it and encouraged me to start writing it into novel form. And I've always written for fun stories and things since I was a kid, but I'd never written anything like this. This is my favorite genre, historical fiction, clean romance. And so I just took that story and expounded the characters and the story and kind of built itself, which is amazing. I kind of knew where it was going to end, where what things needed to happen to get there, but there are certain writers who outline out everything. I didn't.
That's me. That's me. Everything.
Really? No, I am what they call, I guess, a pantser.
Yep.
Uh, I just write by the seat of my pants.
I swear that's
You
a
know,
superpower.
it is. I don't even know where it comes from. It's in my head, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, brilliant. And I start writing, and I'm
Here
like,
it is.
that worked out great, just like I planned it. And I don't know where it comes from. It's all in there subconsciously or something.
So what is your
So,
writing process kind of like then?
um, sit down and just imagine it um like I'm going through it myself. What I see as if I was in a movie, and I
Okay.
was watching it happen. And um hang on one. My daughter's trying to do laundry right outside the door.
Of
I'm like,
course.
stop the noise.
That's whenever my like
uh
dog starts barking or there's always
right.
something. Start recording noise.
I know. Can you see me good enough?
Yeah,
Is my Wi-Fi good enough? Okay.
yeah, yours looks
Okay.
great.
Okay. I was just wondering. Sometimes I get that complaint, but yeah, anyways, I don't know. God inspired me, and so every step of the way, when I'd hit a place where I thought, where am I going? Where is this gonna go? I would all of a sudden have this brilliant thought, and it would just work perfectly into the story. It was
Awesome.
crazy. It was
And this is
it
like a
was
six-book
awesome.
series in total, right? But 6 books you
Yeah,
said?
at least, yeah. So the I have written, so I started out with Cassie's Miracle. This has actually been cut in half because my story was so big. Uh, so this is turned into two parts. This is Cassie's Miracle. The second part of this book will be Cassie's Blessings. And then it tells about, her posterity and their love story, and then her later years. So
That's
I don't
awesome.
know. And then, well, my followers on Facebook were waiting for my book that I'd been talking about for a year. My 11,000 followers were getting anxious to read something. And so Eric, my publisher, said, well, let's give him something to tide him over
Mm,
until we can get it out. And so he said, write a short story about Cassie and her family when she's younger and how she ended up in Missouri at the
yeah,
point where this starts. And so I'm like, oh, that'll be fun because it'll be a lot like Little House on the
yeah.
Prairie type, because that's how I grew up. I grew up watching Little House on the Prairie every day, and I still watch it at least once a year. I love this stuff. I love
That's awesome.
the series and those type of books. So I wrote a short story. It's just a chapter book, you know. 8 and older would love to listen to it. 11 and 12 can read it easily. So
Hmm.
I'd say, fifth grade level could read this and enjoy it. And then adults, of course,
Yeah,
easily would love this too, because it includes the whole family, the younger kids, the older kids, the parents.
all
It's just
encompassing kind of genre range
yeah,
or age
it
range.
yeah, yes, it is. It's just a good family read. It's a good family read. I've had kids 11, 10, 11, 12 read it within an hour and a half and love
Oh
every
wow.
second of it. They said it kept their interest. It was fast moving. It was fun. They learned a little bit along the way
Mm,
about, what it took to raise wheat and how to harvest it and what it took to raise a house, and how they
yeah,
had to live in small cabins about 18 by 18 foot.
that's not
And
very
that's
big.
pretty, no, that's about the size of the room I'm in. I can't even imagine squeezing 7 people in a
That
2 room
that'd be pretty
cabin,
tight.
18 by 18. That's what it was, though. That was the common
Yeah.
homestead back then. So yeah, I was sad that Cassie's Big Move was my first book to come out into the world, because I had been dreaming of Cassie's Miracle for so long.
Yeah.
Um, but I've actually grown to love this book as much as I love all my other ones. Just because it's not a romance. The others are
Mm,
definitely romance. Um, so maybe you're 15 and older would very much love it, but your younger kids could care less about
yeah.
finally getting that kiss. Who cares? Yeah. But I have always loved, like I said, the Little House in the Prairie series, other books, survival books, kind of like that, pioneering stories. And now I feel like I've got to do a series like this for
Mm,
kids, for all
oh,
ages. So
yeah.
I plan on doing um short stories between releases of the novels. So each one of them will be a limited edition, like it says there. So
Oh,
they'll just
nice.
be short. Yeah, they'll just be short um releases, maybe for a couple
Mm,
months, and they'll become collectors. So a box set. So I'll do a Christmas one. I'll do one of Cassie learning about natural medicine and healing. Just her mother is a midwife and a natural healer, so she will learn all about that in one of the little short books that I do. So it'll be fun, because then you'll have a broad range of readers. I won't
yeah.
just have one group. I'll have another group. So
How did
yeah,
you kind
it's
of sorry, feel a little something in
go
my
ahead.
throat. How did you grow your Facebook following? Like 10,000 is pretty good.
11,000 plus
11,000.
in a
That's awesome.
year. Well,
That's really
so
good.
Facebook has algorithms, and after you get 5,000 friends, you're capped out. So I started a professional page. Um, that way people can follow you,
Mhm.
and there's no limit because it's a
Yeah.
business, and you can advertise, and they don't shut you down when you advertise to sell something because you're a business. But I started posting things that were uplifting and in, I guess, my genre, my personality, what I love. So landscape, country landscape,
I can see
anything
that.
old timey, that's what I post. Anything that's uplifting and just gives you that peaceful, happy feeling or nostalgic feeling. And
Yeah.
so I post quite a few pictures, um, and then every once in a while I'll put in um, a funny something funny, or and of course a little bit about my book here and
Mhm.
there, which I feel like has gotten at least the word out about my books, as many as see it.
Yeah.
Facebook still has the stupid algorithm that, hey, a picture will get you 1,500 likes
Mhm.
and 200 comments, and I will write something about my book and I'll get 100 likes and 10 comments, and you're like, you jerks, I
It's
just
weird
put
how
in
that works.
I don't know what it is, or if it's people scrolling and they are like, oh, that looks like an ad, or something for sale. I'm not
Yeah.
doing that, but I don't know what triggers it, but
I've been told that sharing links also like kills the algorithm for you.
I'll agree with that 100%. Because I will find I'm part of a ton of groups,
Mhm.
of country groups, cottage groups, Western groups, train groups, because these are what my book is all about.
Mhm.
And I find pictures and things that
That's
I
smart.
love. So I will post that picture. But
Yeah.
if I share the picture, again, you share the picture from somebody's other site,
Huh?
20 people see it.
Yeah, like
It's
nothing.
ridiculous. It's ridiculous. 20 out of 11,000
Yeah,
saw
really
it. Are
no
you
one saw
kidding me?
this, huh?
I'm sharing someone else's to kind of promote them, but I'm
Mhm.
getting nothing. So I find I have to do the original, I have to take the picture, copy or save it, and then post it, which
They're so weird.
gosh, it's annoying.
I am there's another writer person, she has a big account and she like share my stuff. And like she shared a couple of my links, then she shot me a message like, hey, I need to stop doing this because like sharing your links, not your fault, but they are killing the algorithm for me.
It
What she
is.
say? I decreased like 70% of my viewership. Like dang.
Yes, it is. I hate that. It is very true because sometimes I'm at work. I work full time as a nurse.
Oh wow.
Um, and so I will be busy at my job,
Mhm.
and there's no time for me to sit down and even find a picture that I,
Yeah.
saved through the day. I'll just scroll and go, oh, that's pretty. Share it.
Uh-huh.
And nobody will see it. It will be like 4 people. Are you kidding me? Four?
You got like 10 whole likes
Something
off this.
something is wrong with
It's
this.
so weird. Have you used a lot of social media to kind of get your book out besides Facebook?
I really try to use Instagram, but I feel like I am older than the Instagram users. There's definitely a divide.
Yeah.
There are those who do Facebook and not Instagram, and there's those who do Instagram and not Facebook.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you really do reach a different group of people. There are typically the same age, but I think Instagram is younger. Have you broken into TikTok?
I haven't. I have not.
I
I keep getting told that I should, but I
my head.
haven't yet. Did you?
I I have been trying and I have no clue what I'm doing, but I have been putting together reels on Instagram, which I notice get, oh my gosh, so much more visibility than say a
Really?
post on Instagram. Your
Oh,
story only goes to your friends,
yeah.
posts go only to your friends, reels go to everyone. So you
Interesting.
make a reel and people from everywhere see it, which I
Huh.
think, okay. And then you can save that and put it on TikTok. And I don't have a clue what I'm doing. So you get 400 people watching your TikTok, which I think
That's a
still
lot.
really good. Or you get 20. I
One
don't
or the
know.
other.
I don't know what I'm doing. I need my girls, my daughters to help me because they get it. They're the young generation. That's a TikTok
Yeah.
generation.
It really is
They,
like the young generation.
I think it's their attention span is 10 seconds. So I think that's,
Yeah.
30 seconds is a long TikTok. And, you
Yeah.
know, if they don't like it in 10 seconds, they're past it. So if you can grab them in 10 seconds, but they are the
So
ADD
weird.
generation.
It's weird to think that, isn't it? 10 seconds. Because that's true.
Well,
You
that's
really do
what
have to like
I
hook them from
think.
the beginning.
Yeah, if they don't see something that really grabs them right away, and there's just so much garbage. It is so much garbage on
But
that.
it's addicting garbage. Like,
The people who are addicted to it are very addicted to it because they start streaming. I guess the algorithm, like you've been talking about,
yeah.
figures out what you like and it starts feeding you more of that. So if you pause on something about weight loss, even if you think it's gross and you're like, wow, that's too much. If you pause
Mhm.
for 5 seconds, they're going, she's interested. Even if it's something
She
she didn't
likes
like,
this.
she paused
Yeah.
to look at it. So show her more like that. And I'm like, oh my, and same with the scantily clad women. Or if you look at a fitness thing, they're like, oh, show her more fitness.
You're gonna get all of these. Yeah, it's like if you pause on like a
Um,
specific like person, like influencer on there, suddenly you just get all of their
that's all.
content.
Sheesh, that's all. And I don't know how to figure out how to get out of it. So
There is no getting out. You're
I
sucked
post
in.
something and I'm out. I post something and I'm out. And I go back and look, did anybody see it? Okay, that didn't work. Oh, I go back and see it. Why did that work? I don't get it.
Yeah. I like man, my voice. I like Twitter. That's my like overall favorite.
And my husband is huge into Twitter, and I feel like it's more political based, I
Oh, it
guess.
is. It is.
And I am
But
not.
yeah, no.
I'm
I
not at all. So even though I have posted a few things about my book, I get like nothing, zero. So
really.
I don't know if it's the audience that I have followed and that are following me. They're not interested at all. I don't know. I
Interesting.
don't get it.
I
I
found
don't
like
get
what
it.
you talked about, uplifting, funny stuff. Like links, not so much. Like promotion
That's
pictures don't work on Twitter either, unless it's like a
right.
meme. Then sometimes you can get away with it.
See, and that I just I don't really have time for that.
It's so time consuming.
It sucks a lot of your
It
time away, it
really
really does.
you never think about it. Like inviting people who like your stuff on Facebook. That has been so time consuming. I never thought it would be, but it's like I'm not gonna not invite them.
Well, that's the thing. So I would post something, a pretty picture I found
Mm.
of the ocean, and I would post it to the ocean lovers group.
Yeah.
And I would get 1,500 followers from there. I
Yeah,
would just
yeah.
invite. I mean, you get some scammers, and then I
Oh, there's
block.
always some scammers.
You
Yeah.
know, immediately they're hitting on your followers, and you're like, okay, bye. And when you start to get so many
I
thousands
see
of
that.
followers, it's not hard to say goodbye. It's
Yeah.
like
You
you're
don't
junk,
care.
you're garbage. You're just a scam. No,
Mhm.
no, no. But I will go through, and usually those people that I have invited, there have been some genuinely wonderful people who are always commenting and
Oh,
always
that's
there.
awesome.
And I think that has been beautiful. Some people in Canada. See, I'm in
Oh, that's.
Idaho.
Oh, I'm so
So
jealous of you.
Canada.
I'm in
So yeah,
Seattle,
oh, that's not bad.
not
Big city
Idaho.
though. We're a little city. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's followers in uh the UK, Australia, um, like I said, Canada, Trinidad. I th- I've had people in France, Portugal. I mean,
Yeah.
they're asking, is your book in my language? I wish.
That's
I
cool.
wish. Not yet.
It's
You
gonna be.
know, if they, yeah, we can get it translated eventually, you know. Same with audiobook, you know, they ask when's audiobook? Well, that's usually the last one to come out.
Yeah, that usually you gotta really have an audience to do that and commit the time.
But have you noticed everybody loves Audible?
Everyone loves
Every,
Audible.
I love
Yeah, you
Audible
know,
because
we
I
I was actually
listen to books nonstop.
I was talking to a literary agent a couple weeks ago, and he said that because of like COVID and everything, everyone jumped on the Audible and audiobook craze, and like sales just skyrocketed for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I will sit and listen to my favorite author, Lorraine Snelling or Jeanette Oak, every morning for an hour while I'm getting ready for the day.
Oh, that's cool.
And because they're the uplifting Christian
Yeah,
romance that I love.
what you're wanting to
So,
kind of write about and like the genre
yeah.
you
And
love.
I'm like, oh, that is such a good way to phrase that. And then I don't know if it sticks subconsciously eventually or what, but
Mm.
I write a lot like them, you
Yeah,
know,
no, like I've heard that said
still
people
my
you listen to
voice.
and read, it's like it's your voice, but you're I wouldn't say imitating them, but you know it's what you're around. It's what you know.
Well, guess what? I don't know if you've noticed as a writer, but everything we take in,
You
it it affects us
know?
subconsciously and consciously, and that's what we put out.
Yeah.
So our experiences, what we've read, what we've watched, all are stories that are in your head that eventually, I mean, those characters are somebody that you met somewhere.
Yeah. They're people in a way to
Either a
you.
mesh of, yeah, they're a mesh
Yeah.
of somebody, you know, that influenced you somehow.
I've
So
heard it said that like writers are basically like this giant kind of soup. And like every book you read, you're pouring in a new kind of
you're feeding.
flavoring to it. And you're writing it, just dipping
Yeah.
it in and putting writers are soup. Just-
Well, um, it's interesting because like I said, I don't know how it works in my brain, but it
yeah.
does. It
But it's
does.
working.
It's like some sort of spider web. They're all connected. And so I'm writing and I'm like, oh my gosh, that works perfectly with what happened 2 chapters ago. I didn't even see that coming. That's a surprise to me. Like, oh, cool.
It's like those dates where it kind of like reassures you that, hey, maybe I am actually pretty good at this.
I think so. I think so. Like I said, and then I put away Cassie's Miracle. When I wrote this in 2018, it took about 9 months. And so it was about 220,000 words.
That's
That's
so
a
many
lot.
words. That's a lot of
That's a
words.
lot. That was a lot. And I trimmed it down, but still it's a lot. But then my second book took another 9 months or so to write. I tried editing. I tried having people beta read and try to, critique it.
Yeah.
I didn't do well like that. I
Really?
I I couldn't focus. I have to keep going forward.
Yeah.
And I wasn't done. The story wasn't done. And I had to keep going until I feel like it's done. And I got all the way through the third novel, which again is about 180,000 words. And I thought, I'm good. The story is good. I'm done. I feel like I can stop and go back and start editing. So it was
Uh-huh.
about 3 years before I really sat down and started rewriting, deep
Isn't that
editing.
fun?
You edit as you go.
Mhm.
I'll write a chapter, look back and go, ugh, rewrite that.
Who wrote this?
A sentence, rewrite that sentence, redescribe that, but really just pick it to pieces.
Yeah.
So I started doing that. And I was having a hard time finding somebody that I really could trust and that was close enough to work with editing. And I knew I needed to eventually pay somebody to do it.
Yeah.
But at my job as a nurse, I met this lady and we started talking. She was one of my patients and she was telling me the books she loves to read. I said, "Oh my gosh, that's exactly what I love to read." She reads constantly. She says, "Well, I've been an English teacher for 35 years
Oh
and
wow.
I told her I've written three
Mhm.
now." And she said, "I would love to read your book. Send me
Yeah.
something, send me 10 chapters of the first book."
Uh-huh.
So I did. And about 2 weeks later, she sent me the most beautiful email I've ever received. I
Aw.
was in tears of joy. She said it was the most beautiful story she'd heard. And she's like, "You are a
Wow.
wonderful writer. I feel like your story needs to be out, it needs to get published." And my husband said, "If you had to grade it, what would you grade it?" And she said, "A plus."
That's awesome.
I'm like
Wow.
bawling tears of joy. I'm like, this isn't my friend, this isn't my family member, because
Yeah.
I'd had friends and family read it and they loved it. But this is somebody I didn't even know, total
Someone who will give
stranger
you
who,
honest feedback.
right. And she really has become, so we started editing together. She said, "I only found like a couple commas, which are always subjective,
Yeah.
mostly. A few
Usually.
little, tenses that we could change, punctuation here and there, but really nothing worth
Those are the small
saying.
things.
Nothing worth saying it
Mhm.
needed, major overhaul." So we went through all the way through the three books. And when we
Wow.
got done with the three books, so she would do about a chapter a week and send it back to me. And then I'd meet her at her house and we would talk about them. And I would we would fix the errors and anyways. And she said, "No, really, you have got to get these published. Like, I cannot wait to see these published." And about that
That's
time,
so cool.
I met Eric G. Reed through Facebook. Someone else was launching their
Mhm.
book, and I was watching a live book launch, and he said, "Will you share this?" And I'm like, "Yes, I just hope this is me one day." And he says, "Well, what do you write?" And then we started talking, and he said, "Send me your manuscript." And within a couple of weeks, he had critiqued chapter one, and he just said, "I want you to expound, show, don't tell."
Yeah.
He says, I love the story. I want more. But
Mhm.
this first 5 or 6 pages, this first scene, I want you to show me, not just tell me what's happening, show me." And so I expounded it and sent it back to him. And he's like, "I love it. It's like a movie. You could watch this as a movie, like a Hallmark movie, or
Yeah.
and so I said, well, would this be good enough to get published? Would, since you know,
Mm.
are an editor?
Are you
He's like,
interested?
absolutely, absolutely. So I hired him and his team, and it's been about a year, only because we started editing, and he's more of a storyline editor.
Yeah.
Keep the
Developmental editor.
engine. Yep. Keep the momentum. Don't, you know, is build up and then slow down and build the character and backstory a little, build up again, but don't lose momentum.
Yeah.
Don't lose
Keep
them
it
in too
going.
much details. Yeah. So that was helpful. If I got to be too detailed. Now he's a guy. Girls and my genre in historical fiction, we like the details because that's what transports you there.
Yeah. The
But too
small things.
many, but yeah, even like Stephen King, um, some of those authors will give way too many details, and you're like, I'm not even reading this anymore. Where's the good part? Oh, there they are. They're kissing again. Great. You
I
know
love
what I'm
Robert
saying?
Jordan, and that's kind of the joke about his books. Like I distinctly remember like a solid 2 to 3 pages and like 6 small type pages telling us about how a bridge is used.
Yeah, and that's another thing he would say. I get it. You want us to know how she did laundry. But is that really the important thing that, you know, I know in the 1800s, you're trying to teach us that they had to, you know, boil the water, boil the clothes, lift it out with a paddle, you know, with the lye
Yeah, all
soap.
these little
And he's
details.
like, I get it. And that's what takes you there, but can you intersperse it with the dialogue and action? Like, and
Yeah,
so that helps. That helps, you know, those little, I guess it's coaching, is writing
yeah,
coaching is what he does. Writing coaching and the development of the book. So I feel like even guys would like this because it's not so mushy and it's not so detail oriented that you would lose interest.
you're gonna stay entertained. There's like
Yes.
it's moving.
You know, my favorite, I'll tell you some of my favorite chapters. My favorite chapter. So we got distracted. He said this book, when he would talk to other publishers and film writers and producers in his groups circles, he would read them pieces of the book and they'd say that needs to go to big publishing, you know, Bethany House, Penguin.
Yeah,
You need to get, you need to be her book agent.
yeah. Be your agent.
Stop being her editor and her publisher, your, you know, niche publishing company. You need to be her book agent, get her big publishing deal.
Yeah,
So we stopped with chapter by chapter and we went to submitting to big companies. And you have three focus chapters they want. The first one, something that shows development, and then, you know, something else that
interesting.
shows, you know, character development,
Yeah,
um, and storyline. So one of my favorite chapters is the saloon fight. One of the characters, one of the men that's pursuing Cassie, comes to Cheyenne to get her and say like, "Hey, I want to marry you.
mm,
Like, come back with me." And he's devastated and humiliated. And
1 sec, you're freezing
so
up.
he's angry and he goes to the saloon and he gets in a fight.
Mm,
Oh, let me do this. Is it
your sing froze. Oh.
okay? Is that better or
That
did
is
that get
better.
worse?
I think.
Okay.
Oh,
Yes, no.
Yeah, I think that's better. It shrunk it.
Oh,
It said your
oh,
bandwidth is low.
oh my gosh. I hate our internet. It is. I tried to hook up to my hotspot and that seemed to not even work.
I
Is that better?
think that's better.
Okay. Okay. So, anyways, one of my favorites is writing a saloon fight. So
That's
he
awesome.
picks he picks a fight with the local cowboys and gets, he's drunk.
Of course.
First time ever really being in a saloon and he's drunk and mad and he wants to take it out on somebody that he can take it
Mm.
out on. And that was a blast. That was one of my favorite. And then he ends up in jail and it's just fun.
Uh,
Your good old fashioned Western where the cowboys teach the city slicker a lesson and then they both end up in jail in the um and end up becoming friends,
mm,
unlikely friends,
yeah.
which, it's so fun. And
It's like that's
there's
what
a,
people love
there,
to see though.
yeah, and it's hilarious.
Mm,
There's funny parts and there's a little emotional parts where, you feel bad for them and understand. And then, the, they go back and forth, ribbing each other, calling each other names. It's pretty fun. It's pretty
uh,
fun. Um, and then there's a whole nother chapter where they're cleaning out the old cottage, um, and there's mice and they're screaming and running and it's so comical. So it's just fun little things. Um, and there a lot of it is based on personal experiences.
oh,
Like
really?
the day I thought of that chapter, we discovered a mouse in our house and it was comical.
That's awesome.
So sometimes you can incorporate your personal experiences into your books.
Makes it a little more realistic and real and
Yeah, yeah, like the fright, it comes at you and you jump and scream and you put the pan over it and you go to pick up the rug because the pan's on top of the rug and the rug of course sags and then the mouse comes out and you all
mm.
freak out. Stuff like that happens all the time. So I don't know, she could be the better me. I think she's the person I would love to be.
Well, it's amazing how much we invest into our own characters, like how much of ourself we really put into them.
I think it's a safe therapy
Yeah.
way to experience the world without actually going out and climbing the mountain or going out and doing those things that you wouldn't dare do normally,
Mm.
but you would love to imagine doing.
Yeah.
And it's fun to put yourself kind of in the shoes of your
Mm.
characters. I think everybody does it.
Especially from like a historical fiction side of things. The amount of research you can do, you can really get in there and make it like a realistic story.
Yeah. Yeah. And I always, when I was younger, thought I would be a good pioneer. I would be a good frontier woman. I baked bread from scratch. I ground my own wheat. I bottled all the produce that I gardened and picked.
Mm.
I thought I was a survivalist. I could do this. I crocheted, I sewed.
Mm.
Um, I was one of those homemakers that could do it. And then I had my nursing. Thought I would be a good frontier lady. But guess what? I'm
What?
older now and I don't think I could do it now.
What? Come on, surely
Oh
you
my
could still
goodness.
survive on the frontier.
I don't know. It seems pretty hard now. Your body just gives up on you.
Yeah, it does. It turns out it was a bit of hard work back then.
Yeah,
It
my
didn't
back's just
exactly
not up to it
a
anymore.
lot of walking out there. Walking and horse riding. Well, I guess they're in a
Yeah,
carriage, but still.
no, seriously, and it's not comfortable. So in
No.
the process, that makes me think of, in the process of writing about Cassie's miracle, it takes place in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and it is a historical train, a railroad town.
Mm,
The Transcontinental Railroad
that's right.
went through Cheyenne and became a boom town overnight. So they went from
Wow.
400 residents to 4,000 in a week.
Dang.
And so all my historical research has helped me build my story too,
That's
based
awesome.
on that city. A lot of it was
Mm,
I incorporated into the story, which really helps. You know, I'm not creating a world.
yeah.
I am using what history I find and research and put it into the story, you know, with my fictional characters.
You're like bringing it
So,
to life.
yeah, so the I had written about it, never really seen it other than Google Map and photos from Wyoming, Cheyenne, Wyoming, um, describing the landscape and the buildings from, I found news articles from 1869, 1870. Those are
Dang.
on file, and I found the site that you can go and read their newspapers, which tells you what things cost, who died, who got married.
That's
It
cool.
was so
Yeah.
informative. It was great. So I finally took a trip with Peggy, that teacher.
Mm,
Peggy and I became super good friends, and we took a trip in May last year, not this year, but last year. Took a trip to Cheyenne, which is 9-hour drive for us from Idaho.
uh-huh.
And it was fantastic because I saw the train station where Cassie got off the train. Um, Although they rebuilt it in 1888,
Of course.
I was in the same spot where she would have gotten off. I saw the streets, I saw the different places that she would have gone. So this all takes place in 1869.
Mm,
Um, so they rebuilt the Cheyenne, the Union Pacific Railroad depot in 1886, and now it's a historical monument.
wow.
So it's the original limestone, the original sandstone there. So beautiful. So we went to all these museums while we were there and got to see like everything I'd been writing about for years.
That must
It
have just
was the
been
most,
so surreal. Like, you have this image in your head and then
I
actually
can
seeing it.
tell you. So Cassie's Miracle is a literal miracle book. I don't know what your beliefs are,
Mm,
but I was inspired. God wants this in someone's hands that will
yeah.
help them. And so our first night there, we got there about 5 o'clock at night in Cheyenne. Um, we grabbed something to eat and went to the train depot. It was already closed. Nobody was there because of COVID.
Of course.
And we were taking some pictures, and this gal and another lady, young girl, walked up to us and said, "Can you take my picture?" And I said, "Sure." So I took their picture, and they took Peggy and mine, our picture, and then I said, "So what's your name?"
Mm.
"Cassie." I almost passed out. I was in awe,
Wow.
overwhelmed. She had the long dark hair, the green, emerald green eyes, just like Cassie in the book. And she said her name was Cassie, and
What is
I
the
about
coincidence
one
of
a
that happening?
bazillion. It was
Wow.
it was a did I lose you?
No, I can still hear you.
Can
Can you not hear me?
I can hear you.
I can
Can
hear
you hear
you.
me now?
I can hear you.
Okay. My headphones keep dying and I'm switching
Oh,
them off to charge them. I don't know. Technical difficulties.
I am all the time. But wow, that's
But
incredible. Like, what are the chances of that happening?
just
I
these
mean,
little miracles along the
yeah.
way through me writing these stories just keeps telling me I am on the right track.
Mm,
I'm doing the right thing, and it wasn't just one miracle that we had while we were
yeah.
in Cheyenne. I had like four. It was insane. Every time we went somewhere, a miracle happened, and we were able to get into the historical. It's the Nagel Warren Mansion. Um, it's another historical monument. It used to be a bed and breakfast there. It was built in 1886. Again, the stone with all the towers, and it's just beautiful, beautiful. And it had been restored to that era. And we were at the train depot museum and had wanted to see this bed and breakfast, but because of COVID, they had shut it down.
Of
And there
course.
was a for sale sign on the front lawn. And I'm like, maybe I can call the realtor because I have been researching this home.
Uh,
It's part of one of my characters, uh, like their home. Um, and I had seen a YouTube video on it when they toured it. So I'm like, oh, I would love to stay there. I would love to tour it while we're there. But it was closed up because of COVID and it was for sale. And I thought, well, maybe we could talk to the realtor and say, hey, we'd like to tour it because we might be buying it for $1.5 million,
well, again, no, he don't know the
Who
difference.
knows? You don't know. I might have
Yeah,
$1 million to spend. I don't know.
you could.
So we were talking to the lady that works at the museum, and she said, oh, by the way, I said, we're gonna go over and see if we can get into the Nagel Warren mansion. And she said, oh, did you know I was supposed to go on a date with the owner and he never called me, and he missed our date and he never called me. And then a week later I found out he passed away.
Oh God.
Suddenly, I know. And they're
Oh,
like, now the sons are there trying to get it ready to sell. It won't be a bed and
oh,
breakfast anymore. They're
that's
gonna just
that.
sell it. I thought, oh my gosh. So we went over there right after and knocked on the door, and this one of the sons came and he said, you're lucky you caught me because my brother and I were here getting it ready for sale,
Yeah.
and I would be happy to show you around the house. And he showed me, oh my gosh, I think there was 25 rooms and all of them
Wow.
exquisite. It's just like stepping back in time. It was
That's amazing.
amazing, all
That's like a full-on
restored.
mansion.
It
20.
was a mansion. It was so beautiful. Every room had the clawfoot tub, um, just
Like
beautiful,
all the
restored
stuff.
furniture. Oh my goodness, it was a dream come true. The stained glass windows, the little reading room
Mm.
up in the turret that they have. It's a circular
Oh yeah.
tower where you could sit and read.
That would be awesome. That's like
Yeah,
the
we got to sit up
dream.
there. Yeah. So we got to do that. And then we went over to the Wild West Museum. And while we were walking around, one of the ladies that works there said, would you like to come to a tea party with us? There is the daughters of, I can't remember what society it was, the Museum Society. So they invited us to a tea party, and the curator was there giving a whole presentation about how the museum was built and
Mm.
started. And they have their big Cheyenne Days there, the rodeo, the
Yeah.
huge rodeo there in July. I don't know if you're familiar with that at all, but
That would be
it
so much
is
fun though.
Frontier Days and it is huge. So all the famous rodeo riders go there
Oh,
to
awesome.
compete. So all these famous people have been there and presidents have been there. So then he says, "Hey, for a sneak peek, would you guys like to go up into the attic?" This is like I am living, night at the museum.
Yeah,
He
you're like,
takes us up to the attic and shows us all this stuff that's, you know, famous people's saddles and their hats and lassos and oh my
wow.
gosh, out of
Like,
this world. It
that'd be
was
so
so
surreal, like
fun.
seeing all that stuff.
Well, it's just so much history, and you think, gosh, those people were so talented and
Mhm.
amazing, and I'm just seeing pieces of it. It just
It's like their
so
legacies, kind of, or what's left of
yes,
it in a way.
right. And it was it was again another miracle that what are the chances of that? We show up right when they're gonna have a tea party and oh hey, these random people walking through the museum. Why don't you come and join us? So we have a
Come
tea
on
party
with
going on.
us.
It was awesome.
That'd just be so cool, just being able to get immersed in all that and just the little things lining up like that. Like, because most people are
It
never gonna be able to see
was.
that stuff.
Yeah, and so they had restored, these women had restored carriages. So you had the hearse, you had the fire engine, you had the ice wagon, you had just average buggies,
Mhm.
the medical ambulance wagon restored. And they were gorgeous, gorgeous wagons and carriages,
Mhm.
150 years old. It was
And still just
astounding to
look
see.
pristine, probably.
Better than
Like
pristine. Yeah, like they'd
you'd
never been
never know
driven.
the 150 years old.
It was so fun. I could have lived there probably. I love Cheyenne. I've grown to love it because I wrote about it, and I love it
Yeah.
even more because I've seen it. But yeah, just miracle upon miracle when we went there. So fun.
What are some tips you might have for people like wanting to get into this historical fiction or even wanting to get into that genre, kind of the Western romance?
Um, well, you kind of have to write what you love. I don't think anybody should be forced to write what they don't. That's, school. I don't think people enjoyed reading because
No.
they weren't finding what they loved. They didn't find their interest. Once you find what you're interested
Uh,
in, then I think you love it. Same with writing. I wouldn't want to write a science book. I love science, but I wouldn't want to write a book. That's not my passion.
yeah,
I wouldn't want to write. Sorry. Are you still there?
I'm still here.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
Oh
did you
my
ever have to
goodness.
read Fahrenheit 451? Ray
What was
Bradbury?
that? Um, I don't think so. I don't think so.
But basically it's a super classic, great book, but like everyone in high school hates it. It's one because like
Oh,
it's like a science book and like
yeah.
just way above everyone's level, but they always force you to read it. And just funny because like everyone, if they reread it as an adult, they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's a genius!" But it really is
Oh, yeah.
amazing. Just like if that's not your genre, you'll just never know, or like it just
Yeah.
won't click with you.
Yeah, I don't think it's fun to be, you know, again, forced to write something that you're not passionate about or read what you're not passionate about. Write what you're interested in, write what you love. So, and I know everyone has a story. That's something I've
Mhm.
learned as a nurse. I really connect with people quickly because I'm interested in what makes them tick. I'm interested in
Yeah.
what's their story. And you build almost an immediate trust there when you ask people about their lives and their jobs and how they got there, and and you learn from people and what makes them tick, and I love that. I love learning people's story. So everybody could write their story.
Mm,
I think they're interesting. If you wanted to, you could write your story, and maybe just for you or
yeah,
just for your kids. I wrote Cassie's Miracle for me. to, to begin
yeah.
with, I wrote it for me. I was going through some personal stuff um that was hard to deal with, and it was a therapy to kind of imagine, fiction situation, how would I get through this. So as a nurse, I worked in postpartum, which is part of labor and delivery after they
Mm,
deliver. And we would see also coming through would be rape victims.
oh my God.
Um, and that was hard. And also people close to me had gone through situations like that. And I thought, what advice could I give them? What kind of hope can I give them that they're not ruined, their life's not ruined, that they could still find happiness and joy and
Yeah.
love, even though they feel like they don't deserve it or don't feel like they're like for some reason something bad happened to them, then
Mm,
they're not good enough anymore. I thought,
yeah.
well, that's not your fault. Nothing you did was, you know, the reason why
Mm,
this happened to you. Bad stuff happens to good people, and it doesn't mean you're less deserving of happiness and joy. And
yeah.
so my whole story is really just about Cassie after her tragedy and loss, finding support through family and friends and God and true love, and how it heals her heart. That's the miracle. It's the miracle of love. And I think all of us want that. All of us need that. We need that connection with people. We need the connection with our family, with friends. If we don't have family, she loses
Mm,
her family, and all she has left is her aunt and uncle in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And then she meets a friend along the way who becomes like her confidant, you know, a big sister type who tells her, you're still on your path and is just heading in a different direction than you
yeah.
thought, but you can still find joy and happiness, and that's what God wants for you. He still wants you to find happiness in your life, in your journey. And so she takes heart in that, and then her aunt and uncle really draw her in and treat her like a daughter. And then of course her love interest comes along, and they emotionally rescue each other.
Such a
He'd gone
beautiful
through
story.
loss.
Just listening to it, like, oh my,
Yeah, he'd gone through loss. She had gone through loss, and they found each other. I mean, their paths crossed, and it wasn't just by chance, of course.
mm,
Nothing's coincidence, in this life.
yeah.
I feel like everything is a meant to be, and then they fall in love, and it just worked out great, for them, even though there are hard challenges still.
Mhm.
um you know the things that happened to her and the things that happened to him don't go away overnight either. And so,
Yeah.
but they comfort each other in their grief. So yeah, it's a beautiful emotional rescue love story, sweet love story.
That's so
So
amazing. That wow, that just sounds I'm trying to figure out a word. I'm like, that just sounds incredible. I just the way you described it, like, oh my gosh.
yeah, well, I think a lot of us go through a time in our lives when we feel like we're hopeless, that there's, nobody's ever gonna love us, nobody's ever
Mhm.
gonna understand us,
Yeah.
accept us because of something that either we did, we screwed up, and we think it's too bad, it's too big of a mess, you know, I can't ever go back. Or something happens to us, or you know, your innocence can be taken away even at a young age. And I want those girls to know there's still happiness and joy even after tragedy, as brutal as rape. And that doesn't have to define them. They don't have to be the victims forever. You know, they can be stronger. They can find strength in their faith and in their family and their friends, and hopefully find someone that will love them despite everything they've been through, you know. That's what I
Beautiful
was
message.
hoping. That's what
It's
I was
amazing.
hoping. Yeah. And
Mm.
and a lot of issues come up in the other books. And I don't want to divulge anything because that would give away too much of the secrets of, you know, Cassie's Miracle, which you would figure out if you read it. So I don't want to give too much away.
So where can people buy your books?
So anywhere you buy books, Cassie's Miracle is available. Barnes and Noble, Amazon, Walmart.com, Target.com, Booktopia, Books a Million. It's
Everywhere.
everywhere, and they can pre-order it. I would pre-order it,
Mhm.
so that you could have it in your hands on the 20th when it's released. Um, it will be out on the shelves on the 20th, but what if they only ordered two and you did get
Yeah.
yours because they're sold out?
Mhm.
I'm doing a book signing at Barnes and Noble in Idaho Falls, where I live,
Wow.
on the 24th, and we've ordered a lot of books, and people are pre-ordering to make sure they get theirs. It's going to be a blast because so Cassie's Big Move is going to go away as soon as Cassie's Miracle comes out.
Mhm.
You can still get online on my book funnel. It's, I don't know if you could see that. I'm trying to
There we go.
www, yeah, it's Y as in Yvette Blake.com.
I'll link
And
it
it
in
just,
the below as well.
yeah, it just gets you straight to this book, and it's a free ebook. So people who don't even have money can still read it.
That's
It's a
awesome.
sample of my writing, really, if you wanted to know what it was like. And as soon as you put in your email address, then the link is sent and it downloads to your ebook reader. So if you have Nook or Kindle, or on your iPhone, you have books, as an app, it will read it. You'll just have to go to your downloads and choose a place for it to load into. If you want the hardback, then you have to accept, yes, I want the ebook, and then it pops you to the next page and it asks for your address and your billing information.
Mhm.
So it's $19.99, which I don't think is a terrible price, especially
No,
since
for a hardback.
you print it, it's mailed to me, then I sign it, so I autograph it, put a little message in here, and then I mail it back to you. So I'm not really making hardly anything, a couple dollars. But it's a solid, this is a very thick dust cover,
I'm
and
gonna
then
say
if
that
you
whenever you had
pull
that
it,
on there before, like that looked like pretty quality.
it is thick. It is thick.
Oh,
It's
that's
got like a
awesome.
waxy, um,
Oh, nice.
and then it's got the gold lettering. It's a very thick. So this feels soft. It looks denim type, and everything is printed very beautifully inside. You know, it's a quality book. And of course, it'll be a collector. So if you
Yeah.
want to know what happened to Cassie before the big drama happens, that's kind of an inside foreshadowing of things to come. You kind of meet some of the characters Of course, her family, but some of the characters in the town you meet, like you'll be going, when you start reading Cassie's Miracle, that was the guy that she met when she was in town.
That's
So
cool. I always love
yeah,
foreshadowing the little nuggets like that.
yeah, I did. I left a lot. As a matter of fact, let me show you something. I'm gonna get this. So some people call them Easter eggs, some people call them breadcrumbs, whatever.
Yeah.
But have you ever seen one of these? It's
The
a
bird.
Bluebird of
Oh,
Happiness
that's
is what they call it. So I got this from my grandma when I got married. She's always had one in her windowsill. It is reflects the light through it, so it shines a blue light, and it's supposed to bring happiness.
it's
It's called the
beautiful.
Bluebird of Happiness, and I write about it in Cassie's Big Move about her family. They take this with them, and it's very symbolic. It's also in Cassie's Miracle and all the other books, because even the Native Americans believe the bluebirds bring you good
Hmm.
luck. It means joy, happiness, or someone is watching over you. Um, so it's a good, it's a symbol of happiness and peace. So I incorporate that in my books
That's awesome.
a lot. So those little nuggets, like, or
Yeah.
Easter eggs or breadcrumbs, I do use a lot.
That just like makes it, I don't know, so much more special, so much more real. Like it's those little details like that that really kind of bring the character to life.
Okay, my headphone went completely dead. Now you're back. Okay, sorry, I missed you for a minute there. What was that you
Oh,
were
just saying
saying?
that it's those small details that really kind of bring the story to life. It's
Oh
like those
yeah.
those small things in the family, because like we all probably have something kind of like that that we kind of relate to.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Some precious item. One of the things that I really liked about Cassie's Big Move is we talked about this china hutch that they end up having to leave, and it was Cassie's grandma's, and she says, well, won't grandma be sad that you're leaving it behind? Can't we find a way to bring it with us? And she's like, there's no room in the wagon. We only can take essentials. And besides, we're taking the most important things with us. And the littlest girl, Mary Jane, she says, oh, what, my dolly, my little doll? And she's like, no, all of you,
Oh,
you girls, the family, that's the
mm,
most important things we're taking with us.
that's so
So
heartwarming.
it is. And then of course, because it's a Christian based book, and she says, we can make it, we can, as a family, with the word of God. So they just pack the Bible in the
Hmm.
crates, and each other. We just, as long as we have each other. And she says, even when things get hard. So this is Cassie's mother talking to her. She says, even when things get hard, and the last thing of my mother's is this hutch and I'm leaving it, I still have my memories.
Yeah,
Memories will be with me. It may not be every detail, but it will be the things that are important that I'll remember. And I think that that's true. I mean, if you don't write
yeah,
in your journal or you don't write it down, you forget small details, but you do remember the very significant.
the
And
big
I think
things,
that, and
and
that's
they'll
what
cast
she's
special
saying.
memories.
Yeah. She says, I can remember my brothers and sisters and my parents and the happy times that we had. Maybe not everything, but I remember the important things.
Yeah, the things that
So,
really matter like that.
yeah. And I think that's why people love this book, is it kind of reminds you what's important in life,
Hmm.
what matters. It's not the new iPhone. It's not, possessions so much as it is your relationships.
Yeah, that's so true, and just I think that's a really important message for people today, especially.
It's huge. It's huge. I think a lot of our problems in society are that we are not connecting enough as a
Yeah.
community, for one, as a family, for another, because we're busy being distracted with TikTok.
But the
You know,
videos
we
are
were
so
talking
good,
about,
though.
oh my goodness. If I, this is just another opinion of mine is, if the adversary can distract us, even if it isn't evil, bad, he's kept us from following a better path, you
Yeah.
know, doing good with our time or accomplishing good things like writing. Like
Yeah.
that's what's hard for me on Facebook, is because I feel like I am being pulled away from the really important things. I like communicating with people. I like the connection, but it does take a lot of time,
Takes a
and
lot of time.
it's time away from the people who are right in front of you in the same room.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. That could be a big
Mhm.
problem,
Yeah.
you
I
know.
mean, because
So
time's precious like that. You don't have an unlimited amount of time.
you
Really.
don't, and you never know when it's your time is up, and
Yeah.
you know, you may miss out on that one moment when your daughter was going to tell you something really important,
Yeah.
and that you could have helped her, or you could have, you know, just listened, and you miss out on that.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
or yeah, it's hard. It's a challenge. It's our challenge in this day and age. It's our
But it's a
challenge
good
balancing
challenge.
that. See, we're communicating. It's on
See?
technology. It's not all bad.
Close enough. Better than text or
Well,
something.
if I can get my message out and use technology to do it, I feel like I have a bigger reach.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
I'm using it for good. If I can inspire and uplift and encourage somebody, I think I've done some good with what
It's
I've
amazing.
put out there.
I
Yeah.
think you definitely have. No, just listening to it, it just such an important message.
Yeah. You know, I've had people, one elderly lady, she said she hadn't read a book in years, and she said because she doesn't read very well, she was worried, you know, it might be too hard to read. And she read this and she said, I could read it easily. I could read it. And I loved every second of it. And you've got me interested in reading again. And I think, boy,
That's
and you
awesome.
know, in your 70s to get back into reading, how awesome
That's
is
pretty
that for
life-changing.
somebody who hasn't read in years? I think that's great to inspire somebody now
Yeah.
to read again. And that's good.
It's amazing.
So,
Well,
yeah.
thank you so much for joining me tonight. It has been
Oh,
just
I
incredible
appreciate
speaking
it.
with you.
I appreciate it. I appreciate having the chance to talk about what I love.
Yeah. No, and just it's
It's a great
amazing what
honor.
you're doing, I have to say.
Well, thank you. It's I feel like I'm an instrument in my Heavenly Father's hands, and he's orchestrating and I'm just doing the work. Honestly, I'm
Yeah.
just moving the fingers.
Moving the fingers and
Whatever it takes to get the story out, because I don't know, it's bigger than me. I'll just say that
yeah.
it's way bigger than me.
No,
So,
and you never know how far it will go too. I
well, and
mean,
as long as it gets to the person that needs it the most, that's what the goal is, you know. It
yeah.
helped me, and I think it can help others, and there's people out there I think would benefit from it. And
Yeah.
it's a good story. I mean, even if you don't feel like, you know, you learned anything, I still think it's a great
You still
story.
had fun. Like you
It's
still had a
still a
good
fun
time.
read. It's still a good time.
Mm. Awesome.
Oh,
Well, thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Alex.
Mm.
I really appreciate this honor. It is really fun to get to talk about, like I said, with other
Yeah.
people about what I'm doing. So I appreciate it. Thank you.